Welcome back to the Real Couchwives podcast, where we overanalyze all things Bravo.
If, like us, you had absolutely no intention of watching Bravo's Southern Hospitality, which seemed to be a little bit of a spinoff of Vanderpump Rules, but also Southern Charm, we understand. We were there once, but you know what? Shockingly, we have been converted. We are kind of obsessed with the show, and we're here to make a case on why you should be watching it. And if you're already watching it, then we could just talk about why we love it and why we were so surprised by that.
Why is the best new show on Bravo? We love it.
Literally never thought I'd say those words.
No, I know. Never thought we'd see those words. Yeah, it felt like coming off the gate, like it really didn't have like people that you cared about. Like I think it did take them a little while to kind of like build up like the archetypes of the different characters on the cast. But now that we're 3 seasons in, I'm like so impressed. I am excited to kind of see what happens next season. Like I think that's the real thing, is that you want that like, okay, season 3 just wrapped. They've done the reunion. We've watched it. Like now I can't wait to see what next summer has in store for this group. And that's an exciting prospect, right?
Well, that's it. And I think we kind of talked about how season 3 tends to be a make or break season for a lot of shows. And I think this is definitely where it found its footing. For those who aren't familiar of the preference of it, premise. I just woke up. The premise. Essentially, so they first positioned this as a spinoff, basically featuring like spun around Leva from Southern Charm, which is not. She's just not a character we're super invested in. We don't get a lot of her. We've said a lot of times, like, we barely know anything about her story. She doesn't contribute all that much on Southern Charm. And they really seem to be trying to position it as, like, this is Vanderpump Rules, like, but instead of Lisa, it's Leva. And we're going to have a bunch of people, instead of being at a restaurant, it's going to be Leva's clubs, because she owns a lot of the iconic clubs in Charleston. So we were just kind of like, nice try. You can't recreate that magic in a bottle. And the first season did come off kind of try-hardy. I think I was also kind of just being like, am I too old for this? Like, do I not want to watch 20-somethings anymore because I'm not 20-something anymore? And like, why is it all around Leva? Like, at first we definitely had a lot of thoughts. Like, the cast kind of felt very aware of the cameras and of reality TV. And like, I think we kind of felt like it just wasn't super authentic. The more you watch it, I think I'm like, no, these people are just kind of crazy.
Well, and Kerri, I also hate to break it to you, but we're basically the same age as this cast. Like,
maybe some of them, like TJ, but like most of them are in their like
that's
mid-20s.
That's true. Like some of them are a little bit younger, but I at least know that like Will and I are a year apart. Like we're basically the same age.
Will?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's 94 and I'm 93.
Wow. Yeah. Will, oh my god, it's so much worse.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. That man is 30. That man is 31.
Oh my
He's
god,
still
that's
jeeping
crazy
on his girlfriend. Oh no. Anyways, sorry, that's not what this is about.
But yeah, it just like somewhere along the way it found its footing. I think it kind of realized that we don't have as much of a tie to Leva as they do Vanderpump Rules, and she's really not in it all that much, that I don't think is a bad thing. I will say, if you listen to our other episodes, you've heard us say this, but there was still, and I will never stop thinking this, there was a huge missed opportunity in the way that they introduced the show, and even the way that they continue to film in these iconic locations from Southern Charm. Like the finale we just had, was that house not the same house that we had Catherine
the egg donor
confronted by what's her face, Ashley calling her an egg donor? Like, these are iconic locations. Iconic things have happened in Leva's clubs. Republic is always talked about in Southern Charm, and they just really wanted to be their own thing, and they didn't incorporate Southern Charm at all. And there is actually even more ties than we realize. Like Taylor Taylor said she was on the Vile Files too. Apparently he's just like the de facto Bravo podcast now. I don't think he had watched Bravo when VPR started. That was one of our gripes with him, but I've actually he's since like caught up, at least. She actually said that she thinks it would make more sense for her to be on Southern Hospitality because she's more friends with that group, and apparently she was actually um roommates with TJ for like a year.
That makes sense. Yeah, there is a lot of crossover, and even apparently, Joe Bradley was saying that like he's the reason that JT got on Southern Charm. Like,
What? What's that
yeah,
connection?
I'm not really sure. I have to admit, I kind of like read the headline and I was like, I'm not interested. But
Yeah.
whoops, bad journalism of me. But yeah, like there's at least like so many connections between the group members. Like, and technically, like, isn't Mia the one that like Shep
Yes.
almost made out with, that like ended the relationship between Taylor and Shep? Like, there's so many like little
Yes.
things that you
Right?
could tie this group together, and you just don't really do that for
But
some
why do they
reason.
think they did that? Like, do you think it's almost a thing of like this show stands on its own and like we don't need to have Southern Charm like represent us or what be that crossover or whatever? Like, I just
I Yeah, I don't know, because they still like did like try to lean into it a little bit. Like, we've always had appearances of the Southern Charm cast in the show. Like, we in the first season we saw Olivia. In the first season we've seen like Vanita. Like, there's like been different kind of like people come in, and like, I think Leva, one of the first episodes in the season one was her birthday party, and so she did have
oh
people kind
yeah.
of like come, but
But it was such
there
like a
was just,
non-moment. It was like they put
yeah,
their name on the screen for a second and it was like, oh,
yeah,
yeah,
and
like
they,
Olivia came to this party. Like you don't
yeah.
actually see her talk that much. Like it's
No.
nothing.
No, exactly. And like, I think Taylor drank a day chaser at one point, like behind the
Yeah.
bar. And like
Oh
this season
yeah.
we see her at the hot dog party. But yeah, like it does feel like there could be like some integrated cast drama that could kind of like happen between the two shows. And the casts are at least kind of like appropriate ages for that to happen. Like, if that, even like on Vanderpump Rules, like we have that season 4 scene at Villa, no, at Sir, where isn't that
The housewives come in?
when the housewives come in, and doesn't isn't that the when, wait, was it even season, no, it was season 4, but there was the whole like conversation between Joyce and Carlton and Brandy, and like the fights that were happening, and we like see it air on the TV show of Vanderpump Rules, plus we see it air on
That was
Beverly Hills.
That was
Like,
masterful. That was
yeah.
masterful because you have the same day from
Hmm.
different perspectives. You had the day
Yeah.
from the housewives who were at the dinner table, but then
Yeah.
you also have VPR where it's the servers, where it's like Sheena and Jax, like
Yeah.
basically being like, oh my God, this is chaos. What's happening? But that's the thing. Like, there's so many. It's crazy that VPR and Beverly Hills did more of an integration when, like,
Hmm.
let's be real, like, Lisa is the only, well, Lisa and Sheena, I guess, are the only really
Yeah.
real ties.
Yeah.
But in this sense, yeah, it's like Charleston is also a small place. Like,
Yeah. Itty
they all
bitty.
know each other. Yeah, it's crazy. I do still very much think that that is a missed opportunity, and I would
Hmm.
love to see some crossover, especially now that Southern Charm is, I feel like, slowing down.
Hmm.
Like, it's in their best interest to try to mingle here.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, and I wonder how much of that is like, so I think there was like a lot of jealousy when Leva got the spinoff between like Craig, Shep, Austin, like all that kind of stuff. And that kind
Sewing Down South
of
spinoff.
well, even before Sewing Down South was like as big as it is now, I think there was like some jealousy. And so I think maybe, I wonder if there was like some reluctance from the Southern Charm cast to participate in it and like not really support the show, and
True.
if
I feel
that's
like,
why it hasn't
yeah,
happened. But
that could be. I feel like okay, so also bad journalism here. I don't fully remember, but I do kind of remember the cast of Southern Charm being asked about it, and I don't feel like they it's not that they were salty, but they just were kind of like whatever.
I think
Like
they were a
they
little
didn't,
salty. I think
yeah, maybe they were a little salty, but like it wasn't super positive the way that I feel like they would react when asked about Southern
yeah.
hospitality.
And maybe they'd feel differently about it now. Like, I think the group was a very fractured like a few seasons ago. So maybe now there would be more of like an effort to kind of like try to do that like integration, and maybe they would kind of like even see the value in it, like the fact that even Sally has gone from Southern Hospitality to Southern Charm, like feels like there
It's
should
true.
be even like this whole like Gaston thing that's like playing out like
Yeah,
from
there's really
season.
so much overlap.
There is, there's plot points there, so I
Well,
just, yeah.
you also found out in your rewatch that Molly used to work at Republic.
Yeah, yeah. Molly was she was introduced to Sarah. She was working at Republic, so yeah, there's definitely opportunities there, and I guess we're just not sure why it's not happening. But I guess I also heard that they like we're kind of struggling with production this year for Southern Charm. And so I wonder if maybe they're kind of in like a bit of a weird in between phase where next year will be a little bit stronger than this year was.
Yeah, I mean, I still enjoyed the season of Southern Charm, but it was
Yeah.
definitely slower.
Yeah.
So what is it that you think makes Southern hospitality so fun? Like what changed? What turned us?
I think I just think the drama had kind of like ramped up a little bit. Like that's really kind of like what Vanderpump Rules instantly got us with. It was those allegations that Jax had gotten a girl pregnant in Las Vegas, and that was like basically how like the series kicked off. And in season 2 we kind of like have like the initial Will cheating scandal, and now season 3 we have an even bigger Will cheating scandal. But now that we also have like these allegations that like the cheating scandal that happened between Trevor and Maddi didn't actually even happen in season 2, and that's like a fabricated storyline. Like I just think that there's a lot of interesting stuff happening here. And I guess like to a certain degree, to speak to the whole Will and Emmy on the Vile Files thing,
Oh
like
my
yeah,
god.
I wish that had played out differently and that they had gone on to the reunion and actually like had both of them there, because that would have made that reunion like absolutely crazy and probably like a two-parter, not just a one-parter. um
Yeah.
yeah, but still I think it feels like there's like enough stuff to kind of like keep mining the story and like keep like going in
Yeah.
this direction and seeing what happens with this cast of characters.
I totally agree. I think the drama, it's when the drama gets to the point where you're like you can't make this stuff up. I feel like
No.
that's so much of what Vanderpump Rules was.
Yeah.
I also think it took a while for us to warm up to the characters for whatever
Mm.
reason. But you know what? When I do go back and think of VPR, it was similar. Like the first season, I'm like, Stassi is so mean. This is so hard to handle, and now I love her.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I thought of it in a mean way, but like Maddi really didn't, like, I was not a fan of
Mm.
Maddi for the first few seasons, and
Right.
so, or Joe Bradley.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I really like them as a couple. I feel like in
Yeah.
season 3 they've like really softened, and you actually like start to like them. I mean, Joe Bradley is literally like a caricature of a person. Like I feel like he's not real, but
Yeah.
but like I it's nice to see almost like a dynamic of like him just being so obsessed with her and her being like, I just want to focus on my career and I love you, but I love me more a little
Yeah.
bit. It's kind
Yeah.
of giving Craig and
It
Paige,
is giving Craig and Paige,
which
isn't
someone
it?
had put out there and has been like Craig and Joe Bradley are like golden retrievers and Paige and Maddi are
Are the black
black
cats.
cats. But I think it's both the drama, but also us kind of like starting to actually care about the people more, because I think that was the main problem with season 1,
Yeah.
is I just didn't care about anyone there. Like I
No.
wasn't drawn into that.
Yeah, exactly. And like, like sometimes when you're like forcing something to happen, like people are extra resistant, right? Like calling it the
That's true.
VPR
That's so true.
spinoff, like calling it like whatever, like making it kind of seem like it's going to be the best thing ever. Like people are like, well, I'll be the judge of that. And
Yeah.
then they like
Managing
really,
expectations is very important.
it's super important. And like really like the pacing of the show is like super crucial. Like I think it was maybe 1 or 2 episodes longer than it maybe should have been. It was still only like an 8 episode season, but maybe if it had been like the wasn't like the Mormon Wives this year like only like 6 episodes or something, like that was such a short
Oh god,
first
so good.
season. And yet it was kind of like the way that it was like paced, it was kind of like, oh okay, like we're
it's
getting into it, like let's go. And yeah.
It's true. And I feel like we were truly spoiled in the pacing of Vanderpump Rules. Now
Hmm.
that especially Vanderpump Rules being the first show that I got into and that I was able to
Yeah.
binge it, now that
Yeah.
I watch shows weekly, it's
Hmm.
just nothing can capture the pacing of VPR. Like nothing can capture the mess. And
Yeah.
I definitely want to have an asterisk in this conversation that I still don't think it holds a candle to VPR. It can't.
Well,
It's just
yeah.
different. Like I still
Yeah.
don't care about the people as much as I do for Vanderpump Rules. Like
Right.
I'm not there yet.
I think that's fair, but also like I think it has the potential to get there. I,
Yeah,
I think so. I hope so.
I hope so. I don't know. I feel like Vanderpump Rules will always just be on a pedestal for me.
Well,
Maybe the time in
yeah.
my life when I found it too, and like I don't. But
Yeah, but also like Vanderpump Rules is so different because it's like it's still really relatively early reality TV where like you weren't like securing this TV show to basically go on to be like an Instagram model and kind of like do all the affiliate marketing and like do all that kind of stuff. Like the pipeline now
Mm-hmm.
is very linear, and that's because like Instagram technically didn't even really exist until Vanderpump Rules started. Like they kind of happened at the same time, and like
Yeah.
being a content creator wasn't the same thing. Like, you know, the fact that like Grace Lilly is already like on season 3, like not even working at Republic anymore. Mia's not even working at Republic anymore. Like
Yeah.
I even kind of like wonder if we went down there today, like who would be there? Like I
I feel
think
like Emmy and Michael's and like the
and
kind of side characters.
yeah, like TJ apparently
TJ,
is actually working
Mr.
there. I
Wieners,
think
or
Joe
whatever.
Bradley would be working there, but like, you know, Maddie's ready to go off and like be like a DJ. Like I think it's already it's probably changing pretty rapidly. And so I guess that also kind of like makes us wonder what season 4 will have in store. Um
True.
yeah.
Oh, the other thing that I had this season was just like kind of a villainous couple and like just an
Mm,
insanely delusional couple. You always
yeah.
need some Delulu. I
You
feel
do
like
need some
that
Delulu.
it was giving, and then so like yeah, there was a delusional couple of Will and Emmy who, dear
Mhm.
God, even after filming, we're seeing on the Vile Files podcast,
Yeah.
they are just doubling down on literally everything they have learned. Zero.
Yeah. They are
Mainly
so
Emmy.
in
Like Emmy,
sync.
like blink twice if you need help. Like please, please, please leave this man. This man is, even the way he spoke about her on that podcast was like, she's so reactive and emotional. Like this is
Yeah.
just normal. So like that's why you don't see me caring about her on the show.
Uh,
And she's
well,
like, it's true. I am reactive. It is my fault. I'm like, are you a
and
Stepford wife? Like, what's happening?
yeah, well, and even the fact that like his excuse for like why he didn't get involved when Emmy was accused of basically pocketing the money from the dresses for herself with her affiliate link, was that he was like, oh, I could see she gave me eyes that she was like, stay away from me, like don't get involved in this conversation. And it's just like, I don't like, we didn't see any of that, and that actually just feels like a really convenient excuse here, Will. And I think she's just so obsessed with the fact that like,
Brainwashed.
yeah, she thinks that her love story mirrors her parents' love story. She loves that they're both like born on the same day. Like she's like committed to the fact that like they're gonna have this like fairy tale life together, and her blinkers are on. Like she doesn't want to, her
She's,
blinders are
yeah.
on. She doesn't want to see anything else.
But like she's gonna lose everything because he's isolated her from her friends. Like she, oh, it's so bad. But yeah, so there's a
Yeah.
delusional couple that
Hmm.
at first you're like feeling sorry for her, and then you're kind of like, girl, like there's only so much you can put up with, and watch you tell all your friends to F off when they
Yeah.
even just like you're literally having breakdowns every single episode, and
Hmm.
yet your boyfriend can't even come to the reunion. So A, he's fired. Like, let's be real. Like
Yeah.
that's like the
No.
cardinal rule of
Yeah.
Bravo. You can't just not show up to a reunion and then go on
Hmm.
a podcast and tell your side of the story there.
Yeah.
Um, there's also some scheming coming in. People are kind of comparing TJ to a Kristen when she's trying
Mm.
to show that Tom Sandoval was cheating with Miami Girl.
Honestly, I would love that for TJ. Like if he goes full Kristen, like go for it, dude. Like you get that law school student to come down here and let us know what really happened, and
Yeah. And then you
have
also
them
get
confront
slices of
Will.
life this season too, right? Like you have some really frank conversations with Michaels about like him
Hmm.
kind of coming out and his mom
Yeah.
not talking to him. And
Yeah.
he is a season 1 rookie. He
Yeah.
is
And he's a
22 years
baby.
old. He is an actual child, and he
Hmm.
has so much emotional maturity. It's wild.
Yeah. Plus, they took us back to Las Vegas, which I always appreciate as somebody who
Oh
loves
yeah.
Las Vegas. I love that. A cast trip, I think, is essential. Like the first couple of years, what did they do? They went to like
Like NASCAR or
they went
something.
to NASCAR, and so then they also like stayed at like a country house or something. Like
Oh yeah.
they did that this year too.
Oh
But
man,
yeah, like
Lake
a
House is
cast trip.
wild.
Yes. Oh my God, it was so nice. That was not a lake house. I'm sorry. That is a
No.
mansion beside a lake.
That was a mansion. Yeah, you're like,
That
oh,
was
you're super
crazy.
rich.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. This is what's really going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So very fascinating.
I think those are kind of some of the reasons. It's like, yeah, there's good drama,
Mhm.
there's mess, there's
Yeah.
frank conversations. Like, there are
Yeah.
all those components that you need in a Bravo show while being in an iconic place. Give it a
Yes.
chance.
Yeah.
Season one's kind of hard. But which
Yeah.
season isn't, except for VPR? Like, Southern Charm, season one, rough.
Plus, if you like binge it, like I think it's easier to consume. We kind of had to watch it like week to week when it first came out, and so I think that that like doesn't really help you. Like it really, I think if you get through season one, like have it happen, and then get into season two, you'll be good.
Yeah, actually, I know someone who just started at season three, and she's like, I'm obsessed.
Well, honestly, yeah, I don't think you're gonna miss anything if you like don't get the backstory.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Also,
Yeah.
they tee it up pretty nicely, I feel like, in
Yeah.
talking about what happened before. Oh,
Mhm.
and there's also other parts of the Bravo sphere coming in. Like, Luann literally is like the cause of a friendship
Yeah.
breaking up. Like,
Oh, well, in that mess, oh my God, when Grace Lilly showed up to the season 3 finale with O'Sheen after like being accused of like having like slept with him the year before and like basically
yeah,
ending like Maddi and her friendship,
yeah.
you're just like, oh wow, this is like really messy. This is like some real Bravo mess.
Yeah,
So
Grace
that
Lilly
that
takes
was
a
good.
while. Yeah, or when someone's like, "You're crazy," and she's just like,
Maybe,
she
baby.
just starts doing like her magic hands. And then anyways,
uh,
it's
so
fun. Let
good.
us know what you're thinking. This
Mhm.
is a little bit of a shorter episode today. We'll be back with our regularly scheduled longer episodes, I guess.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in.